Thank you very much. I'm going to tell you today something about our technology, which is really revolutionary. And the technology of Xeltis has the ability to naturally restore cardiovascular function and cardiovascular properties. And we're concentrating on heart valves and vessels. So we're not only reinventing the heart valve space, we're also bringing novel solutions in vascular grafts that nobody else has been able to do so before. Xeltis is a company based in the Netherlands. We're with 30 people, and we do our R&D, our manufacturing, everything in-house, and I'm the CEO of the company. Oh, and let me go back, sorry. So this is how the technology works. The technology is basically a matrix, a porous matrix that has the ability to enhance healing in the patient's own body. So what it does, it presents a nice homing for cells, where cells feel at home and are able to repopulate and generate healthy tissue. And we've been working more than a decade on this science, and we've been able to find the right properties of biomaterials that have the ability to make heart valves to function and new vascular grafts to function into patients. Basically the target, how we do this, and that's the three properties that we have. It starts with actually having an implant. And the implant presents a true polymer that is 60% porous, that acts as an implant, that acts as a heart valve, that acts as a vessel as the surgeon implants it. After it's implanted, it triggers the body to attract the right cells and to start the restoration process, the healing process. And as the restoration and the healing process occurs in the body of the patient, at the same time the material gets resorbed. Three pillars of our technology that make our technology so novel and unique. One is the chemistry. It's the chemistry of the polymer that has the ability to fine-tune the unique properties of the material that it needs. It presents the right architecture and the ability to have mechanical strength and absorption at the right rate where it needs to be. For the leaflets in the heart valve, we need to have different properties than exactly the outside of the heart valve. So the company has been able to fine-tune the mechanisms and the chemistry exactly to the needs where to be able to provide healthy tissue formation. The second application, the second unique characteristic of our technology is not just the polymer, we're also able to make the right architecture with the chemistry. So we're bringing very fine mesh of fibers that has the ability to make porous structures, to have the cells regenerate and repopulate to a healthy tissue formation. With this, it's a third pillar. We've been able to demonstrate that the body has the ability to regenerate and function as healthy tissue and form a heart valve or a vessel. The whole technology is protected by a broad spectrum of patents which go beyond just the chemistry. It's also the architecture, and it's also about the healing properties that are unique to our technology. Not only we've been able to put a lot of science behind it, and we've put the technology into more than hundreds of sheep to demonstrate that we can actually mimic and reproduce and make tissue in the body itself and create what we call the stable healing phase of the implant. We've been also implanting this material into humans. 28 patients are walking around with this novel technology in their body. And we started with a proof of concept more than 5 years ago into a space in the heart, outside of the heart as a tube. And the material turned out to be a unique ability to form healthy tissue and create stable healing without creating any safety concerns. After the move and demonstrating the proof of concept and safety into humans, we started the next phase of the technology and the testing into the pulmonary heart valve space. The heart has 4 heart valves. The pulmonary valve is the valve that brings the blood from the heart to the lungs. It is the low pressure side of the heart, and this is one of the sides of the heart that usually have malformations when you're born. You're born with a malformation, and many young babies actually that are born with a malformation need a new right ventricular outflow tract, including our pulmonary heart valve. This is the first step that the company took to demonstrate that the technology has the ability to also generate healthy tissue, not as a tube, but also with moving pieces, being leaflets. At the same time, we've demonstrated that not just on the low pressure side of the heart, but also on the high pressure side of the heart, the technology has the ability to form healthy tissue. And this has been demonstrated in over hundreds of sheep, where we put the technology onto different frames in different positions in the high pressure side of the heart, all demonstrated to generate and form healthy tissue. As we were going into the clinical situation with the technology, we also learned that the outside of the tube, the outside of the heart vessel, the heart valve, created a very healthy healing without occlusions, without signs of stenosis and calcification. And by that learnings that we also gained in the clinic, we accelerated our vascular program and also have utilized our sheep data that proved very healthy tissue generation, also with small diameter vascular grafts. The technology is addressing high unmet needs in high markets, also multi-billion cardiovascular markets, where today solutions are insufficient. The company is venture capital backed with very respectable venture capital partners and an experienced management team. Just to go back, and as I demonstrated, why reinventing the heart valve, and why did the company start it in the pulmonary heart valve space. And the pulmonary heart is a true problem because today's solutions are really inferior and actually very poor for little kids that are suffering from a congenital heart malformation. These kids today receive a heart valve from animal tissue that basically is outgrowing as they're growing and create a heavy inflammatory response that is the root cause of the stenosis and calcification. So Contegra, as you see here on the slide, has an intervention rate of 25% at 1 year, which is a high failure rate, which is today still existing. So these kids are facing and suffering a lot, and their families, as in average 5 times in their life, they're facing intervention or reoperation. So poor solutions, and actually with the technology that Xeltis has, we have the ability to enhance the healing and allow the patient to generate their own tissue and their own heart valve, and have the ability to adapt to dynamic situations. So what you see here is the solution of Xeltis. The solution is, it sounds easy, but it's extremely complicated to have a polymer and a right architecture to have a healthy healing occur in the patient's body. And we've been able to demonstrate that also in the clinic, that we see healthy healing. And to the mind of a strategic that could potentially be interested in this is not just a better solution to patients, it also provides a far better manufacturability of heart valves that are today still done with manually suturing of animal tissues into frames, which takes one single operator to make one valve a day. This is pretty standard to produce with very sophisticated electrode spinning techniques, but a very robust scaling manufacturing process, which allows unlimited sizing. We can make all forms and shapes that we want to, and off the shelf, ready to use implant. We've tested this into humans, and as you see here, the first trial is now out 36 months, and we've tested this in Kuala Lumpur, Budapest, and in Poland. The striking result that you see here, which is one of the fundamentals why we believe also we have an excellent proposition in vascular grafts, is that the tube, the outside of the heart valve, is performing consistently well. We don't see dilatation, aneurysm formation. We don't see stenosis or calcification, which is the primary failure mode of Contegra. It's stenosis at the distal end, and that's the main reason for interventions. We don't see that in any single case of the very first trial that we've implanted this valve in. The second trial, we've optimized the product to also improve some of the properties on the leaflet. As we learned in the first trial, the conduit, the outside of the valve, doing fantastic. The leaflets, however, over time, showed in a few patients lack of coaptation. So we spent quite some time to optimize and fine-tune the technology to also have these leaflets to function well. And this is what is demonstrated in the trial in the US, where we've implanted 6 patients with the technology. And with this, we've seen just recently pristine data. With the 6 patients, no stenosis, no calcification, but also leaflets 40 million times in a year has been open and closing. So the technology has the ability to degrade, but at the same time form really healthy tissue. The investigators, FDA, bought into the concept as the company has to progress, and we're going to be one of the world's first company that has a synthetic product that has the ability to naturally restore into the clinic, into a pivotal trial, leading towards approval. And we're focusing on the pivotal trial to start this year, leading to approval close in the next 3 years. We've also demonstrated that the platform works at a high pressure side of the heart. So this is the sheep data that shows that also there the capability is there to replace any material in the heart valve space. The pulmonary valve, as well as this, we hope to find strategics to help us replacing heart valve tissues in all types of configurations of the heart valves today. The other aspects that basically accelerated in the company last year was because of the unique clinical trial results. We've also progressed in seeking at opportunities that nobody else is able to do, small coronary bypass grafts. Today the solutions are poor. For coronary bypass grafts, it's basically the only solution is taking the vein out of the leg, creating lots of comorbidities, pain and suffering of patients. There's no alternative, no synthetics work. It's basically thrombosis and hypoplasia are the root cause. Also the same concept here. The Xeltis has the ability with the technology to restore and create healthy tissue and creating a patent graft over time. We've demonstrated that already in animals, so not just the clinical data set from the pulmonary valve demonstrated we can do this in humans. Also, animal data has shown us that in very complicated animal models, this is a sheep model that uses a cabbage application, that a 20 centimeter long graft with a 4 millimeter diameter in dimensions remains open over 6 months, which is quite striking to do in a very slow flow environment here in the coronary artery in sheep. So we believe we are on our track for first in human trial. This is my last slide, explaining to you the story that this is a very unique equity story, where we believe we have a platform technology that has the ability to be worldwide the first that brings synthetic heart valve with the ability to restore onto the market. With also potential in literally many vascular applications, of which we start a big market need is the cabbage as a first one, but also there's a second application underway for this year. We raised the 10 million in the Series D this year. We're continuing to seek for further investment of an additional 12 million to get to value inflection points, which is actually 3 applications into the clinic. And a small diameter graft in vessels, as well as the pulmonary valve into a pivotal trial leading towards approval. And we're hoping for strategic investment at that stage. Thank you very much for your attention.